Hello, friends. So, this is one of my first speaking videos of being out in the forest. Um, a friend of mine, as well as several others, have been encouraging me to make more videos explaining things that I feel that need to be explained. I realize that I am a being that interacts with a different level of consciousness than most people do. Um, we are all open to these potentials. It's just simply honing into the frequencies and the connections that are available to us and bringing them into a, a form of language of sorts in which we are able to communicate with different aspects of nature. Um, I spend a lot of time in the forest. Um, I come here specifically to listen to everything that's around me, the soil below, the trees that surround me, the vast amount of fungi and mycelium under the soil and within the trees. Even now, the camera is being held by a very strong family of shelf mushrooms. You can actually use them as drums. It's good stuff. I'll let you guys check these out for a second. So, what I really want to talk about today is listening and communication and forming these symbiotic relationships with aspects of nature. So, we can communicate to each other verbally, but as I'm sure many of you have experienced, we have these extraordinary forms of communication that are established beyond us and another human being. I've experienced these extraordinary communications. You can break them down through latent psychic abilities, telecommunication, instant data transfer, past life recall, in which it brings forth all of the experience and connection that we have had with a person in the past and brings it into this life so we can experience the resolution of what that had to offer and was imprinted upon the nature of our communications and connections with other beings. So, with these communications, I have these very much so with trees, with nature, with mushrooms, with the ground, with, oh man, there's specific trees out there that just, you see them and that's one thing, but when you get close and you really start to examine them and understand them, and you wait and you intently listen, there's a language to learn with trees. They do very much speak, far beyond verbal means, of course, but they're highly intelligent creatures. I've experienced many, 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 many magical happenings with trees. One of the things I really like to do when I'm around the trees is I like to play music with them. I like to sing to them. I like to let them know that I wish to be in harmony with them. They sing with me. I become like this flute almost, and the wind that comes through this flute is coming from my body, but where that is coming from is my lungs, and that's coming from my soul and what is being brought in. So, playing the flute and other instruments has just helped me to become more of a conduit for these types of energy and flow that come through us, that can be interpreted as creative energy, can be interpreted as inspiration, can be interpreted as just pure love, tranquility, peace, bliss, harmony. So as we become better at listening, better at flowing, better at allowing this magical flow that flows between us and every other thing to become more harmonious with our vessels, our bodies, our skin suits, if you will, we can experience a much deeper level of our soul and consciousness. It's very much possible. Different aspects of nature connecting with different things, different conscious beings of sorts, physical and non, lead us to a greater understanding of ourselves. We have perhaps been these things many times throughout our lives, and the connections are still there. The being that we were is still present upon this one. We are. So, like, a little bit about symbiotic relationships. I'm gonna drop my flute off right here for a little bit. I'm gonna walk over to this nearby tree that I've harvested some wild mushrooms from. So, I did this about a couple weeks back, but a few more have sprouted in its place. So, we'll walk over to here. Short journey from the other mushrooms. They do like to be close together. Like, why would they not? They enjoy each other's company very much. So, there's a couple old ones up here. Like, here's another shelf mushroom. But as we walk around the tree, over here is actually where I harvested a bunch with a friend of mine. He stood on my back, and we climbed up here and we pulled down all these very, very, very fresh oyster mushrooms. And you can still kind of see the remnants of what is left. We're sure to spread many spores of this colony around to other trees in the area, things as that, so that they may do more work. If you look at this tree here is, see that? See how it's been lopped off at the top? Probably it broke. Actually, there it is. There's the top side of the tree. Somehow it completely snapped off of there and landed over here. That can happen through any means. Lightning is one of those means. Strong winds, a tree being really tall, hollowing out, starting to die in parts, fungal growth. These things will cause a tree to snap off, so to say. But now this giant root mass that's down in the ground and this tree log that's here, these fungi come in to help break this down and actually heal this wounded tree. And it may eventually sprout some new limbs, as looks like it is happening up there. But the mushrooms allow for this to happen. The fungi goes in there, it refertilizes the tree, so to say, allows for more space for new growth, or it just completely will break it down and start to decompose the tree, whatever the tree and mushroom have chosen to do in the terms of their symbiotic relationship. So many, many different beings on this planet are communicating and working with each other, forming harmonious connections that are of a symbiotic nature. So, like, mushrooms and trees are completely different organisms, but they work so symbiotically well together. It's beyond our comprehension what they are doing in those levels and the type of relationship they have. Most fungus that are edible, actually, form symbiotic relationships with trees in which they help the tree, and the tree helps them. It actually brings into being a better tree, a more healthier tree, and a better fungus, a more healthier fungus, in which the two, when they live together. Now, an oak tree and maitake mushroom are a great prime example of this, where the mushroom will provide much needed soil nutrient absorption for the tree, and it actually grows around, the fungus itself grows around the roots of the tree. And they form this relationship where the tree agrees to help out the fungus and give it sugars from it, and the fungus helps out the tree and loosens the soil and brings in far more nitrogen than what would be normally possible to the tree. So they do this consciously. They have chosen to be these organisms to work together, and it's magnificent. It blows my mind. There's many different types of relationships like this out there. If you think about the simple relationship between fungi and trees in this nature, imagine how important this is for our planet. If you think about it, all the wood that is around, that has fallen, as you can see, there's lots and lots and lots of wood. And I'm here in the middle of Detroit. This is just but one forest. I'm really happy there's a forest out here in Detroit, as beautiful and untouched and magnificent as this one. Very beautiful place. There's a river running through it. It feels amazing. Oh, look, a nice little fresh guy starting to form up in here. Awesome. Okay, so back to that forest. They're completely different organisms. Mushrooms and trees, they're completely different. Mushrooms breathe oxygen, much like human beings. And trees breathe carbon dioxide. But the two put out the opposites, and they create this equal form of gas exchange while they live together as well. This is all very important, easily relatable to other aspects of life. We ourselves can be like this fungi working with the giant world tree that many Native Americans and tribes have spoken of, this tree that exists within the earth. Growing out of it is a massive, massive, massive tree of light in which we can gain sustenance from and eat from her fruits and nourish our bodies and have a fervent communication with her and understand how she feels, how to work with her, how to do it better, what she wants us to do, what we want to do for her. This is all willing. This is, many of us on this planet are doing this type of work, this type of connection and communication. Now this spiritual tree, as I mentioned, this tree spirit, Native Americans call it the world tree. Alex Gray has actually painted a painting of this world tree. And the Mexican population is also very aware of this world tree, in which they have their own very sacred connection with this this tree of light, so to say. So I know this video is getting pretty long. I'm going to bring it to a conclusion here real soon. But really, I'm just going to finish up and touch on this. We are able to and have the capacity to be completely harmonious with our environment. Whether it's something we interpret as negative, bad, not good for us, toxic, poisonous, it doesn't matter. It's still doing its work. It's still pulling toxins out. We're seeing it as that. If you think about like a poisonous mushroom, that poisonous mushroom probably absorbed some powerful toxins out of the ground and produced a little fruit, and then that fruit withers away and dies, and those toxins are converted. And this is happening all around us. With other people doing this stuff, they are injecting their frequency or their conscious being into these zones, and they are transmuting them from the inside out. They are gaining the frequency, and then once they hit that frequency, they start working themselves out of that frequency, which provides almost like a trail of breadcrumbs for other people interacting on those frequencies with those other means. These are things such as like GMO, cigarettes, very manipulated form of tobacco. Tobacco is a powerful plant teacher, but not when it's manipulated as it is. It teaches us the same thing that it's being taught through these chemicals and such that are added to it, that are placed upon it, the terrible growing conditions that it has to endure. It causes us to go through these same things. Genetically modified foods, like they're another thing, but like they don't allow for our DNA to be structurally integrated, for us to receive the downloads and upgrades that we need to from the planet, from the universe. These genetically modified proteins and I don't even know about anything further than proteins. Proteins is the main genetically modified food that I try to stay away from, because proteins make up your body, your cells, your organs, your tissues, and these things are not good to be made out of genetically modified material. It causes your DNA to be broken in a way, and it's not structurally integrated, and you can't evolve as we need to as conscious human beings. Human, light, being hue, light incarnated, a spectrum of light, hue, men of hue. We are men of hue. We are men of light. We are created as beings incarnated through light. We are light incarnate. This is my understanding. But when it comes to these proteins, I personally wish for my body to be made out of very awesome type of protein known as edible mushrooms. Very rich in protein. When you look at them, they even look like tissue. They look like tissue matter, and it's so connected and so and porous and so able to contain energy and do healing work, and just that's what I want my body to be made out of. It is a type of flesh. Mushrooms are very much more closely related to animals than they are plants. A lot of people are unaware of this, but it is a truth. They breathe oxygen. They have flesh. They move very quickly. The thing is, they work like ants or like bees, and they form a colony, and this colony produces fruits, and they start as tiny little spores that work with other spores, and these spores meet together, and they create more mycelium, and then the better they can work together, the quicker the mycelium is formed, and then they form this big old conscious network in which they do their work. They heal, they produce fruits, they do all sorts of really incredible things that are nothing short of magical. Miraculous, if you will. So, just to tie it up, symbiotic relationships. You very much have the potential to be in a symbiotic relationship with the planet, with the human beings around you, with everything. You don't have to take stuff as a negative occurrence. You don't have to take it as, oh, I don't like that and I wish that's not happening. Well, you can feel that way, but it's important for you to feel that way, so acknowledge that. But work with what's in front of you. Don't get caught up on it. Don't go, oh, a bump in the road. Knock that bump back down. You don't want that bump there. Other people are going to hit that bump. Go, oh no, a bump in the road. And if you know how to knock it down, knock it down. Flatten it out. Make it easier to travel upon. Kind of what these videos are doing. So, with that, be confident, my friends. Trust that you are who you know you are. Be who you know you are being. Incarnate yourself. Be more yourself. It is an important thing for us to do this work. As we be more ourselves, others start to be themselves, and it allows for this potential that I mentioned of. As human beings, we are allowing so much potential into our reality as to what we are able to experience, what we are able to go through as humans, trials, tribulations, whatever you want to call them. Either way, we are allowing infinite potential on this planet for us to experience anything that it is that we need to. Genetically modified foods are a potential. It is something that we can choose to experiment with, and it is something that teaches us something. If indulged upon, if used, stuff like that, it will cause health problems, things as that, and then you can work to heal those things. Well, there's other ways of going about this stuff. You don't have to use a poison to a point to where it poisons you and kills you. You can use it for a little bit and then go, oh, that's a poison, and stop. It's as simple as that. Or wean yourself off it. Whatever works better for you. Or work with it as much as you need to. Inject your frequency in there. Leave those breadcrumbs for other people to get out. Only you know these things. Only you know the work you're supposed to do on this planet. Nobody can tell you that. They can maybe help you by guiding you as to what they've been doing, what they have done, and what they have achieved and come to understand and experienced, as I'm doing in this video. this may not be many of your truths. Many of you might not have tree connections as I do. You may not have this connection to the forest as I do. I trust that you most likely do, but I do allow the potential for that not being a possibility. That's perfectly fine. Take from this as you will. Take from this as you need. There'll be many more of these coming. And I'm glad I'm reaching the level of confidence in which I am to be able to share these things through these means, because it's an instant form of data transfer. You don't have to come out on a walk with me out into the forest and have these talks with me. We can simply provide this little window into time and space, and anybody can pick from this time and space anytime they need to and gain from it what they need to. And I'm all about allowing for that potential to happen, because I feel it. And the only thing that would stop me is fear or self-consciousness. Self-conscious. Weird word. Because I would say that I'm self-conscious, but I am removing the self-conscious. I'm conscious of myself. It's fear. Just get rid of that fear. No need for it to be here. Fear will only help you to stumble and not dance this beautiful dance that we are within our lives, as fluidly as we are fully capable of doing. Fluid. Like we're made of water and just liquidly flowing about life and moving in such a way that's so magical and in tune and in harmony. Whereas if there's fear or worry, you're going to be stumbling. You're going to go, oh no, am I making the right step? Is this the right place where my foot is supposed to go? No! Just dance the dance. Do it fluidly. Do as your body wants to do. Allow it to do it. Bring it in. Dance it. Be beautiful. Be majestic. Don't worry about messing up. There is no messing up. Other than when you allow fear to come in and stop you. But even then, you're not messing up. You're just realizing, fear is inhibiting me from dancing my dance to the best of my ability. And as soon as I stop fearing that I'm going to mess up my dance, I'll then be able to dance the most beautifully I've ever been able to. I'm getting closer and closer and closer on my own individual level, as the rest of you are as well. But together, we are helping each other immensely. We're working in this huge conscious colony, hive mind-like structure that is just so, it's beautiful. It's causing so many powerful impacts on the planet. I feel it very much present within my own being. I see it happening around me. There are great changes taking place on the earth, and it's all thanks to people raising their vibratory consciousness, going into these lower frequencies, attaining them, bringing them to the surface, resolving them, transmuting them. We're all doing these very beautiful processes of this, and we all have our own very key, important, integral parts to do this. So that's why it's important to make sure you are dancing the dance to the best of your ability. You are important. It is important the things you are doing. Why would you be doing them? You got to do what you do. You have to do what you do. And if you're not doing that, then what are you doing? What are you doing? Do what you do. I'm going to conclude it at that. I love you, friends. This has been a great time out in the forest. I'm going to do some more flute playing by the river and return home and do some painting, doing what I do. I encourage you to also share these types of wisdom, these experiences, these windows into your space, into the frequencies that you assimilate, that you feel. Very much encourage these things. They are very much a great benefit to humanity. The more of these that are out there, the more possibility allowed for others to attain these. And the fact that you're doing it yourself opens up a lot of doors as well for you. So, once again, love you, friends. Take care.